Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today, I have a very special guest, Bill Heinrich. 30 years ago, he walked away from his life because he was so miserable. He was committed to find the source of his misery and create a new life. Today, Bill's journey continues as he expands his consciousness. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lance. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And so longtime listeners of this show are hopefully a little struck with that introduction, because that's exactly why I had you on today, Bill. You are unique so far. Just for me hearing, understanding like where you're coming from. I ask a lot of people the first question I ask them when they come on the show is, how did you get here? Are you from a family of entrepreneurs? The first, but yours seems like it's going to be super unique. I am so curious what happened 30 years ago.
Oh, my life was nuts. And I mean, it's really a long story, but I was raised in a very strict religious family and gave up like when I was in fifth grade. Life never made sense to me. And finally in my 40s, I couldn't take it. I literally walked away from my life. There was chaos, confusion. It was just nuts. It would take too long. I could go into a very detailed description, but
yeah,
it would take a little while.
Well, two big things there. So strict religious family, and then I take it you became an atheist or an agnostic at fifth grade. Is that what happened? Is that what you mean by that?
No, I was still, things were a lot different back then. When I was in fifth grade, it was in the 50s. So, life looked a lot different then. So, we didn't have the communication that we have today. So, everything was very, very centralized to your home and your neighborhood because you didn't have other information, right? So TV had just come out. There were 3 channels. Yeah. So it was just the opposite of today. There was no information and, complete control. So for me, it was just about survival, Lance. It was just like life made no sense to me. I thought I was crazy because what I was seeing, like, it didn't make sense. I don't know. I know now that I just had so much wisdom, universal wisdom, that there was just this massive conflict. And that was my lesson to overcome, to get where I am today, to be able to share with people how to live in extreme happiness.
Yeah. Okay. So between fifth grade and the age of 40, that's the time frame where you were just felt lost, a fish out of water, that sort of thing.
Was lost.
Yeah. Okay. And so when you say you walked away from your life at 40, I mean, a lot of people, when they say that, they really hit rock bottom for many reasons, right? Substance abuse, sexual abuse, or whatever. I mean, is that where this is coming from?
Nope. Just raw survival and just unhappiness and behavior that wasn't me, in acting out, in anger, just so many different ways.
Got it. Did you walk away from a wife, family, kids, the business?
At the time I was divorced, I was in a relationship, and it was 9:30 at night, and this is like, I kind of had snapped, and then there was when the voice came in my head and said, "Hey, this isn't you. It's time to go find out why," literally. And I went upstairs and just sat by myself for a few minutes. Said, "Yeah, I've got to go find out why." And I went down and said, "I'm so miserable. I can't stand it anymore. And I've got to go find out why." And I walked out the door and I never came back.
Wow. Where did you go?
Went and stayed with a friend. I wandered for a long time. I've always worked on a income basis of what I generate for revenue creates my income. So I certainly wasn't rich, but it didn't matter. It was like, I got to go find out what's going on, and went out. And so still on that journey, almost 30 years, man, I found some incredible things. Let's talk about those.
Yeah.
Those are the exciting things.
Yeah. Okay. So what were you doing as a profession leading up to when you walked out the door that night at 9:30?
At that moment, I was doing some telecommunications work.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you were roaming, you just jump into just kind of odd job after odd job, and then you finally found your
No,
center?
I was able to maintain that income. I worked straight commission, and so had some revenue, and so I was able to get by. But I wasn't really. I rented a room from a friend. I wasn't really concerned about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't really. It didn't matter at that point. What mattered at that point is I had to find the answer why.
The answer to why you were
I was
confused?
so miserable.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Miserable.
How did you find that
What
answer?
created it came in bits and pieces, but all of it, every piece I found led to what I call universal wisdom, the non-physical, how the universe operates. We live in two different dimensions. There's a physical dimension, which is called life, and we live in a non-physical dimension, which is vibrational, which our heart runs. One's run by the head, one's run by the heart. One of the first things I found out that just stunned me was about my life lessons. There's 38 different life lesson paths. We're all here to learn life lessons, absolutely positively guaranteed, which means we're all living with massive blind spots. Massive, because we have these lessons to learn that we know nothing about. These are the things that create the upset and disturbance inside. When I saw what my life lessons were, I found out I wasn't crazy. It described me and the way I would live life if I wasn't living on the positive side, if I hadn't learned my lessons. It described my life.
Okay. And was there scripture you found or some kind of books that led you there? Just other people? I mean, this is all
Just
just
books and research and all in the areas. This led me on a search in metaphysics because it's the non-physical that runs everything. Everything we see in the physical is really just an interpretation of our past. But what really matters, no one will ever remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
okay.
Feelings are the only thing that really matter, how you feel, what vibration you're at, and how you're able to move through life with that energy.
Yeah. So if somebody is listening to this and they're just screaming at their earbuds right now going, "Bill, just tell me what books, the 3 books that got you to at least a good conclusion, what would those be?"
Well, the book I would send you to is my book, The 7 Levels of Truth, because everything that I teach the clients I work with is in that book. It's the 7 Levels of Truth, a direct path to your life purpose. It's on Amazon. Everything I use with clients, I've been teaching and working with clients, CEOs, executives, business people for over 15 years. It's all in that book. Everything's there. So rather, the first book I found was Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And the thing I loved about that book is it had no dogma. It was not tied to any religion. But first chapter in that book is we are pure potentiality. We're pure potential when we understand how the universe works. The law of giving, the law of acceptance, all the little things in life that send us over the edge. And when you start understanding how we're responding to these, what's created by our life lessons and other external factors in the non-physical, you can make choices to live a much better life.
Yeah. What are those 7 things? Maybe you could
The 7 levels of truth.
Yes, the 7 levels of
The
truth.
7 levels of truth are energies. We have chakras. We have 7 chakras. Goes from the root to the crown. The 7 levels of truth are the 7 energies that run through. The first at the root is divine compassion, divine creation, then divine order, divine healing, divine authentic self-expression, divine truth, and divine power. These energies. We all have the same 7 energies, and we have them in different proportions. And this is what creates our uniqueness, and this is what creates our life purpose. Our life purpose, Lance, isn't what we do, it's the energy we do it with.
Okay. So if somebody picks up your book and they hear you on the show, what does a typical working relationship look like with you?
The coaching relationships, you mean?
Sure.
That
Yeah.
I have?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I have a few select one-on-one clients, and then I have a super conscious mastermind where we meet 3 times a month. And I teach people all of these things. One of the unique things about my coaching is I work with no contracts. I have a 90-day minimum, um, and the clients don't leave. Right now, I have 3 clients working with me one-on-one. It's over 5 years, um, which it's because when you understand energy, you understand expansion. When you understand expansion, you're always living in potential and your power.
Got it. What do you think people are listening to the show? What are some 3 important keys to living their life purpose? What would you recommend? What are those keys?
The first key is to have a greater awareness of the difference between the physical and the non-physical. And that is the difference between your head and your heart. There's basically only 2 emotions. There's love and there's fear. Fear always comes from your head. Love always comes from your heart. Notice the stories that you live by. Everyone lives by their stories inside them. And the reason people become defensive is because they have to protect their story. Yet, for fear, they may be wrong. Yet, with love, there's never anything to protect. With love, the more you give, the more you get. And the beauty is our uniqueness. So when you're being defensive, you're protecting something. Now, I'm not referring to if you're assaulted or you're in a physical situation that goes, oh, this doesn't feel safe. I'm just talking about the way you think. And people are always looking for acceptance and approval that they're going the right direction. But when you really know and love yourself, you don't engage in those conversations. You don't need them.
Okay. And did I miss the third? Was there a third coming? Or did you nail it?
I thought there was 3 in there. Just notice when you go into reaction. Reactions are created by stories inside of you. When all of a sudden you're angry, it's all based on energy. It's what energy these situations put you in, how you're responding to your physical life.
Got it. Beautiful. Well, there's a couple other questions I've got for you here. I was reading your bio, and I've noticed you have something that you say where you say some people are living with a blindfold on. What does that mean?
That means we have life lessons, and people are living with a blindfold on, literally making decisions based on who they are to the best of their ability.
Got it. All right. Tell us about surviving versus thriving.
Well, we live in the physical, and the trap here is that everything's focused on survival: food, water, shelter, making money, having a house, all those things. Thriving takes place in the non-physical. When people talk about potential and power, all of our potential and power is in the non-physical, and the way we access that is energetically. So in thriving, the universe runs on 7 basic laws. Everything's a vibration, everything comes from nothing, and everything is in alignment energetically. If you're body, mind, and spirit, if you're angry, they're all in alignment. The law of rhythm, the law of gender, and the law of polarity are the things that you can change with your energy. So when you're thriving, you're following the universal laws, which will never put you in conflict with any laws or anything in the physical ever, because it comes from a place of acceptance and love.
When we're coming up on
it sounds a little bit weird, but I'm telling you, it changes a person's life in a second when they understand it.
Sure. Bill, we're coming up on the half hour here. I always ask 2 last questions to everybody that's on the show. Knowing what you know now, and if you could go back in time when you first started this business and what you do now, what is one piece of advice you'd give your former self?
Is that everything we do in life is to learn a lesson for ourselves, whether it's business, social, personal, family, relational. Everything's about your experience and the lessons you are here to learn.
I love that. Bill, if people are listening and they want to get your book, please give us a plug on your book again. How can they connect with you on any kind of social media? And then where can they follow you and get a hold of you if they want to work with you as a coach?
Okay, I'm on all of the social media channels under True Life Purpose Now, Bill Heinrich. My book is on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, you can go to my website, and there's a page there where you can order it, and I'll sign it and mail it to you free. And if you have an interest in more information, or if you're frustrated, if you know there's more and it just isn't clicking and it just isn't working, you can go to speaktobill.com and set a 20-minute clarity session. Speaktobill.com.
Beautiful. Bill, thanks so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it, Lance. Thank you for having me on.
Bring me to life.